Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Jai Shri Radha Madhav Bhagavan Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
But we need to keep to time, so we'll get started. Well, we've got His Grace Nitai Kirtan Prabhu giving class today. I think most of you are familiar with him. Anybody doesn't know Nitai Kirtan Prabhu? And I don't think, because you don't know him, but people who do know him, I don't think there's anybody here who has not approached Nitai Kirtan Prabhu for some kind of guidance. He's been in this movement, helping Srila Prabhupada from a very young age, serving Prabhupada, that is preaching Prabhupada's books. So let's give him 3 Hari Bols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! And today's class is Guru and disciple relationship relating to Ramanujacharya, South Indian.
Dasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishravanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we're discussing. So today's class is on the Guru Parampara, relationship between the Guru and the disciple. We see in ISKCON, in the Hare Krishna movement, that there are spiritual masters and people go through the process of taking initiation. And sometimes it can be bewildering. You see all these people rushing forward and they're getting their beads, they get excited seeing their spiritual master. But what is initiation? What is this process? How does it happen within the ISKCON movement? Why do we need to take shelter of a spiritual master? So you may have some questions or doubts in your mind, so I thought let's start by asking, what are the point, what are the things that you've seen, or what is it that you want to know, and then we will try and tailor the class according to what you've asked. So what kind of questions do we have? Can a person serve Krishna without taking initiation first? Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so similar to his question. Can a person approach Krishna without a guru? How to recognize if somebody is a bona fide, a genuine spiritual master? Okay. What does it mean to take shelter of the spiritual master? Is it just external or is it something internal? Okay. How would it look externally and internally? Okay. Anything else?
What is the difference in serving Krishna as an initiated disciple with comparison to an uninitiated?
None of that. Okay. So what is the difference between somebody, serving Krishna if you're initiated and serving Krishna if you're not initiated? So are you asking how do you have faith in the spiritual master? Okay. How do we develop faith in the spiritual master? Okay. So what if you want a spiritual master and he doesn't want you?
What just happened?
You're in trouble. I'm joking. How do you find a guru? Okay, how do you choose a guru? Okay. Do we choose the guru or does guru choose us? Okay. Did you have a question?
Is there the best time when to ask for the guru or when to get initiated?
Is there a best time of when to get initiated? Okay. This is actually what we run is we have a guru disciple course. When we've done it in Birmingham, it's like a full day's course. It's from 9 in the morning till like 6 in the evening. So what I'll do today is I'll just, if you like, skip over some of the points. Just skip through some of the points and give you some general idea. But to really take this deeper, then you'll need to come on the Guru Disciple course. So let's start off by discussing the whole Guru Parampara system, or the system of having a guru and a disciple. In Bhagavad Gita, so some of you who have been doing Bhakti Shastri will know this verse. Chapter 4, text 2. So let's do the invocation first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshayo Vidu Sakale Neha Mahata Yogo Nashta Parantapa. So translation is, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. The very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So Krishna talks about the Guru Parampara system, and then later on in this chapter, Krishna says, Tadvidi Pranipatena
Pariprashena Sevaya Upadakshanti Tergyanam Gyaninastat Vadarshina.
Very good. So he says to approach a spiritual master. Sometimes people say, especially those from India, sometimes they will say, oh, I don't need guru. Krishna is my guru. I don't need to surrender to a guru or a person. Right? I'll only surrender to Krishna. But if you accept Krishna as your guru, what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Go accept a spiritual master. So if you accept Krishna as your guru, then Krishna is saying, go take shelter of a spiritual master. So this system is given by Krishna. And this is one of the reasons why the purity of Krishna consciousness has been maintained. This is one of the reasons why the purity, the potency, the power of Krishna consciousness, of our process, the power has been maintained. Is because the disciple learns from the spiritual master, and then the disciple becomes guru and keeps the message as it is. Srila Prabhupada, when he titled the Bhagavad Gita, he didn't just title it as Bhagavad Gita, right? You'll notice he put Bhagavad Gita as it is, not as it is not, right? In other words, he hasn't changed it. He hasn't changed the message. I've read Bhagavad Gitas where Krishna, so the commentator will translate pretty much exactly the same. So what Krishna says, it says exactly, the translation is correct, very true to this Gita. But then their purport will say something completely different. So what people do is they know people read Bhagavad Gita, they know the message of Bhagavad Gita is very widespread. So what they do is they have their own message that they want to say. they want to give to other people. So what they do is they translate the Bhagavad Gita, but then they write their own message, their own speculations, their own ideas into the book. So who was it who asked, how do you know who's a bona fide spiritual master? Well, you just asked that, right? So the first thing is, are they part of a Guru Parampara? Are they part of a Sampradaya, a bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya? Sometimes in the Bengali community, which I'm from, not anymore, but when I was young, sometimes people would, some of the community, they would invite speakers. So the first question I always ask is, who is their guru? This person that's coming, who is his guru? Which line is he from? And often what you'll find is, they're a self-manifested guru. One day they became realized, self-realized. Right? We don't accept that. Right? If you are realized, you will take shelter of a spiritual master, because this is the instruction of Krishna. So yeah, they'll say so many things, and it's totally from their own speculation. And this is how the potency of the process becomes watered down. Because I change something, then my disciple will come along and change something else. Then the next one will change something else. And before you know it, there's no. It's like if you take a sabji, like a dal or something, right? And keep just adding water, or you take a medicine, right? Very potent medicine, and you just keep adding water, Eventually, there's nothing left. There's no potency left in taking that medicine. You take that medicine, it's just like drinking water. So the message has to be kept as it is. Therefore, we have the Guru Parampara system. So there are 4 bona fide or genuine sampradayas. So does anybody know what they are? You're not in Krishna consciousness for the first day, are you? Okay, so we have one here. So the Brahma Sampradaya. What else? The Nimbarka Sampradaya. Good. Shri Sampradaya and Rudra Sampradaya. Yes, very good. Rohit gets there. Right. So let's go through those again. The Brahma Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Nimbarka Sampradaya. These are recognized as Vaishnava Sampradayas. In other words, they worship Krishna or Vishnu as the Supreme. So they are recognized, the process that they give is recognized and is bona fide. So the leader of the Brahma Sampradaya, or the main personality who preached in recent times from these Sampradayas, we say? Madhava. By the way, it's not Madhava. In Sanskrit, when there's a dash above the A, then it's Madhava. But there's no dash, so it's Madhva. Madhvacharya. So our Sampradaya, the ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement, comes under this Sampradaya. The Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. That is our line. So then there's the other 3. So we have Sri Sampradaya is started by Lakshmi. And who is the main Acharya there? From South India? Ramanuja Acharya, yes. We're going to talk about it in a little while. Then we have the Lord Shiva Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya. So who is the main personality there? No. Shankaracharya is the Mayavad philosophy. That is not accepted as a Vaishnava Sampradaya. We're talking about the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas here. Lord Shiva, or the Rudra Sampradaya, right, comes from Lord Shiva. So who is the main Acharya there? Is Vishnu Swami. And then we have the Sampradaya from the 4 Kumaras, and it's called the Nimbarka Sampradaya. And guess who the main person is? Nimbarka Swami. So these are the 4 bona fide Sampradayas. So so the Sri Sampradaya from Lakshmi Devi, the main personality, who Sri Ramanuja Acharya. Right? It's a really nice book describing the pastimes or the history of Sri Ramanuja Acharya. And after reading this, that's why I was inspired to give this class, because he is something else. So Ramanuja Acharya is actually an incarnation of Lakshmi. If you break down the word Ram Anuj means younger brother of Ram. Right? So it's actually an incarnation of Lakshmana or Balaram. Right? It's a very powerful personality. So when he was young, when Ramanujacharya was young, many hundreds of years ago in South India, Ramanujacharya was in Kanchipuram and he was studying under a guru, Yadava Prakash. But this guru was from the line of Mayavad. So you all know what Mayavad is? So Mayavad are not accepted as a Vaishnava Sampradaya. Their philosophy is basically we merge into the Brahman. So we're all God, you're God. You know, his name is Narayan. Not Narayan Keshav Das. He is Narayan. But it's not just him who's Narayan. You're also Narayan. You're also Narayan. You're also God. You're also God. You're also God. And of course, a lot of people like that idea. Mayavad philosophy has a big following because that sounds good. Everybody's God. Yeah, I'm God. We've gone into Maya. We've just fallen under our own Maya and we've forgotten our real position. But actually, we're all God. So this philosophy was prominent. So the way that it happened was that the Vedic times were there. Everybody was following the Vedas or Vedic principles. And then what happened was, as Kali Yuga progressed, as this dark age progressed, then people started to misuse the scriptures. So there are certain sacrifices where they slaughter animals, but this is not allowed in this age. But people were misusing that idea of slaughtering the animals, and they weren't doing it properly. They were just slaughtering animals for the sake of it. Then Buddha came, Lord Buddha. And what was the main principle he taught? Ahimsa, non-violence. In other words, protect the animals. But in order to do that, he first of all threw out all the scriptures. In order to break this nonsense, this animal slaughter going on, first of all they had to reject the Vedas. And they brought this principle that there's no God, it's just you merge into the void. This, what's it called? Nirvana. Right? You just merge into the void. So that's the first principle. Then, gradually, the Vedas are going to be brought back. It has to be done step by step. You've just thrown away the Vedas, right? You brought the principle of non-violence. Okay, good. That's first step. Step 2 is, now let's bring back the Vedas, but we can't say there's a God, because that's too big a jump. So what we do is we bring back the Vedas, but we still say, oh, it's just a light. So this is Shankaracharya, right? His incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he came to give this example, to give this idea that we're all God and we merge into oneness of God, right? We're all just alike. And these forms of Vishnu, these forms of Krishna, they are just manifestations of the Brahman, but they are not the supreme. Brahman, or the light, is the supreme. This is the philosophy. So this was prominent at that time. And it is Ramanuja Acharya that came and broke this sampradaya. Ramanuja Acharya came he's the one who spread the Vaishnava teachings and the Vaishnava philosophy and changed this atmosphere. And from then the different sampradayas are there, and obviously now we have the Hare Krishna movement, the modern day Vaishnava sampradaya, which is spreading all over the world. So Ramanuja Acharya was learning under Yadava Prakash, who was from the Mayavad school. One day while massaging his guru's feet, his body, one student came in and asked about this verse from one of the scriptures, from one of the Upanishads, Chandogya Upanishad. And the line was, he was trying to understand, the student was trying to understand from the guru, Kapyasam Pundarikam Evam Akshini. He was trying to understand, what does this mean? So the guru said that this is talking about the eyes of Lord Vishnu. And he said, I'm about to say, please forgive me, it's horrible. So what he said was this word, Kapi Asam. He said this refers to the backside of a monkey. The backside of a monkey. So just as the backside of a monkey is reddish, the Guru then said, the eyes of Lord Vishnu are reddish, like the backside of a monkey. So after the Guru said this, he felt some water on his body, and he looked, and he saw Ramanuja was crying. Right, his young disciple, his young boy, right, 12 years old, right, he was crying. He's very surprised to see this, so he asked, my dear child, what has upset you? And Ramanuja said, that is such a horrible explanation of this word, of this line. Horrible. So the Guru became a little bit, on his high horse, like, really? This is the explanation given by Shankaracharya? Do you have a better one? Right? Do you have a better one? So then, Ramanuja said that Kapi can refer to Kam Jalam Pibati, which means basically the sun. And Asam can mean blossom. So that object that blossoms with the sun, in other words, the lotus flower. And he said this Kapi Asam Pundarikam Evam Akshini means that the eyes of Lord Vishnu are beautiful like a lotus flower. That is the Vaishnav explanation. When you see the difference between Mayavad and Vaishnav, they don't care about Lord Vishnu. Right? How can you describe Lord Vishnu's eyes like reddish like a... Right? It's horrible. It's just all this speculation. Whereas the Vaishnava Sampradayas, the process has bhakti. It's done with love. So after hearing this, the Guru was impressed, but he was also very upset, because he was thinking, this person is steering towards the the bhakti side. He's not doing this, the Shankaracharya, the Mayavad side. So again, later on in one class, the Guru was talking about Supreme Lord being an energy, oneness with the Supreme. And again, Ramanuja argued with him. So the Guru realized that this person is one day going to spread the Vaishnava teachings. So he decided, along with all his other students, that they would assassinate this young boy. So with the pretense to go on pilgrimage to the river Ganga, they all went together, and they were going to find some lonely place, and at that time they were going to have him murdered. And then they would come back and say, oh yeah, he got sick and then he died of some sickness, like that. But somehow Ramanuja found out. And Ramanuja, as soon as he heard, he just ran. He went into the forest deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and nobody could find him. And then that night he just slept under a tree. He was very afraid, but then he remembered the Supreme Lord Narayan, that actually Narayan is our real protector. So being like that, he slept under a tree very peacefully. The next morning, looking at the direction of the sun, he realized that's south, so he started traveling towards the south. And on his way, he met a couple. So they were like a hunter type couple, and they happened to be going towards Kanchipuram, where he was headed. So together they traveled, and finally when he got to near a big city, the lady was very thirsty. So 3 times Ramanuja went down the steps to the well and got her some water. 3 times. She drank, first, second, third time. Again he went down to the well, but this time when he came back up, the couple had completely disappeared. And he realized that Lakshmi Narayan personally had come to help him get back to his city. That's how, because he had faith in Lord Narayan, that he will protect me, the Lord personally came to protect him. Yadava Prakash came back, his guru, and he was a little bit like, didn't know what to do. He was upset that he hadn't died. But at the same time, he felt some guilt there that I tried to kill him. And then later on, a few years later, what you see is that Ramanuja then takes sannyas a few years later, and then Yadava Prakash, his guru, surrenders to him. He transforms from a Mayavad, believing in that the God is just this light. On seeing the power and the potency and the effulgence of Ramanuja Acharya, he actually surrenders to him. And he accepts that actually the Lord is a person. The Lord is a form. The Lord has a form, and we worship the Lord like that. So the philosophy is not that we're one with, not that we're the same as God, is that the Lord is superior and the jiva is the servant of the Lord. So this was the main philosophy that Ramanuja Acharya brought and defeated the Mayavadis. And then the other Sampradayas, they also have a slight twist on these philosophies. And in our Sampradaya, Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he combined them all with this one phrase, Achintya Veda Abheda Tattva. Achintya Veda Abheda Tattva. There's a group, what's the name of the group? They did a song on this verse. Achintya Veda Veda Tattva. They actually made a song, a guitar song. Really cool. Kula Shaker, yeah. Kula Shaker did a song on this many years ago. So this philosophy means that we are one with God, we're simultaneously one and different from the Lord. How are we one with God? Like a drop in the ocean, yes, exactly. So we're the same in quality and different in quantity. Perfect philosophy. We're the same in quality but different in quantity. Just like a drop, you said, just like a drop from the ocean. If you take a drop from the ocean, it has the same quality. It's got salt, it's wet, it's got gold in it, particles of gold. It's the same as the ocean in that sense, in terms of quality. But in terms of quantity, there's an ocean of difference. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu combined all of the four sampradayas and gave us this perfect philosophy. So we are very, very, very fortunate. We are very fortunate to be in this sampradaya. If we realized how fortunate we are, we would be totally Krishna conscious every moment. If we actually realized our great fortune. So I was thinking maybe we could just do a quick meditation. So we'll do a gratitude meditation. So how you do this, you just put your hand on your heart. Okay, let me just tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put our hand on our heart and just going to think about all the things that we are grateful to Srila Prabhupada for. Or if you have a spiritual master, you're a spiritual master as well. What are you grateful for? If you weren't in the Hare Krishna movement, what would you be doing right now? You certainly wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. What would your life be like? And therefore, what are the things that you have been given? What are the things that have changed in your life because of this glorious parampara? Because of the sacrifice that Srila Prabhupada has made. Right? What are you grateful for? So if I ask everybody if you just put your hand on your heart and close your eyes, just say thank you for all the things that you've been given. If you close your eyes and just think about all the things that you've been given in Krishna consciousness and just say thank you. What are you grateful for? You have to close your eyes, yes. What would your life be like if you weren't in Krishna consciousness? What difference has Srila Prabhupada's teachings made in your life now? Look at your life now. What has Srila Prabhupada saved you from? And in Krishna consciousness, what are the things you're so grateful for? What are the things you're so happy to have? One of them is definitely Prasadam. Holy name, the book, etc. What are the things that you're grateful for that make you blissful in Krishna consciousness? And now, just say thank you to Srila Prabhupada and thank you to the Guru Parampara. Just honor them and thank them. Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki. So when we practice attitude of gratitude like this really helps us recognize what we have been given. It makes us more focused and makes us more attentive in our Krishna consciousness. The spiritual masters have gone on this mission. People like Ramanujacharya has had his life threatened even to bring us this knowledge, right? To give us these gifts that we've been given. How do we approach or how do we develop a relationship with a spiritual master? So the first understanding is the Guru. We don't choose our Guru, actually. The Guru finds us. The Guru finds us because the first Guru is actually there within our heart. Who is that? Chaitya Guru. Yes, Super Soul, Paramatma. So when we have the desire, when we have the inclination towards spiritual life, when we have the inclination to search, to seek for the higher principles, the Lord guides us. If anybody listens to Brian's story of how he came to Krishna consciousness, he's like, the Lord is guiding. Like, probably for many of us actually, your stories of how you came to Krishna consciousness, it's like you had no idea what you were getting into, what would happen. We simply desire, we simply have some sincerity, we have some sincerity in finding out about God. And the Lord directs us. So that is Chaitya Guru. So Chaitya Guru is always in our heart. But Chaitya Guru talks very quietly. Girish, don't do it. And he does it anyway. Right? Chaitya Guru in the heart talks quietly. It's sometimes very difficult to hear. So therefore, the Chaitya Guru sends us the external representation of Guru, right? Our spiritual master. And you know when it's your spiritual master because when he says something, you feel like following 100%. And Srila Prabhupada gave this example. That when the Guru asks, and the Guru says to you, jump, you say, how high? That's how you feel towards your spiritual master. There are some devotees who have never, if you like, directly have met their spiritual master. Right? For example, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. It's often very difficult to have a person, like a direct relationship with him. And he's actually extremely shy. How is it that so many people are taking initiation from him, for example? Simply by hearing his lectures. His Holiness Radhanath says like that. He says, everything I want my disciples to do, I'm saying in my lectures. This is the power. So when you hear those words, when you hear those messages from the spiritual master, they have such an impact on your heart that it's like, I want to follow that. That's how you know this person is your spiritual master. One person will say to you, chant 16 rounds, and you're like, yeah. But when the spiritual master says chant 16 rounds, you're like, yes, Gurudev, yes. Right? You feel that connection. You feel that potency by hearing. So this is the first thing to understand, is that the process of initiation happens especially through the process of sound, through the process of hearing your spiritual master's instruction. So for example, at the moment we have Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada isn't physically on the planet anymore, right? He's there spiritually in his books. So this is, if you like, hearing the instructions of Srila Prabhupada by reading the books. How many hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people have become devotees simply by reading this? They didn't even meet a devotee. And I met one person in Radhadesh in Belgium, and he was driving us from the train station to the temple. So I asked him, how did you get into Krishna consciousness? And he said, when he was a teenager, like he was in his 20s, he was doing everything, breaking every single regulatory. He was trying to find pleasure, and he was so frustrated that there was nothing that was giving him satisfaction. Finally, his dad somehow gave him, he said, I got this book on the street, it's in Belgium, right? I got this book on the street, and it was a Western-bodied, person. Got this book on the street, here, it might help you, some kind of spiritual thing. He took this book, he went into his room, and he didn't come out for 3 days, except to go to the toilet and eat. All for 1.5 days or 3 days, something like that. Right? He was only reading this. And after reading this, when he came out of his room, he said, I need to find these people. Simply by hearing the message from such a great devotee, from Srila Prabhupada, he became a devotee. He wanted to surrender to Krishna. So this shows this person is your spiritual master. Because when you hear from them, it goes deep in your heart. Because what's happening is the external manifestation of Guru is talking, and Chaitya Guru is also talking. Right? External Guru is talking, Chaitya Guru is also talking, and it has a big impact. This is my Guru. Right? This is how you know who's your spiritual master. And of course, they are in the line. How do you know who is a bona fide Guru? Of course, they're in the line. In a bona fide sampradaya. The great thing about being in ISKCON, being in the Hare Krishna movement, is that the spiritual masters are already qualified. Right? The GBC is there, they decide who is allowed to initiate, who isn't allowed to initiate. So if you like, the qualifications have already been, the authorization, if you like, has already been done. So we don't need to worry about that. So what is the process? The first process is to develop a relationship with the primary Shiksha Guru in ISKCON. Who is the primary Shiksha Guru in ISKCON? Srila Prabhupada Ki. So for the first year, what we're recommended is to really develop that relationship with Srila Prabhupada, understand his teachings. For example, the spiritual master is supposed to speak as it is. The spiritual master is supposed to be in the line, so therefore he cannot change what Srila Prabhupada has said. Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of the ISKCON society, and he said that his books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. In other words, the standards that Srila Prabhupada has set cannot be changed. He is the Acharya for the rest of Kali Yuga, right? At least for the next 9,500 years. The standards that Srila Prabhupada has set cannot be changed. If another spiritual master comes along and says, I know you're finding it a bit hard to chant 16 rounds, yeah, it's okay, you can chant 12. I'm sure many people will go like, oh yeah, that sounds better. If he wants to do that, then he has to go start his own movement. He cannot be in ISKCON. He can start his own con, start his own mission. So therefore it's important that we understand first of all, what is the mood of Srila Prabhupada? What are Srila Prabhupada's teachings? So how do we do that? By reading his books, studying his books, understanding read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, understand his life. And as we develop that strong relationship with Srila Prabhupada, then we can pray to Srila Prabhupada to send us our spiritual master. I remember I was in a situation where I knew two spiritual masters and I couldn't decide who I should surrender to. I was at that stage. I wanted to go deeper in my spiritual life. So when you want to go deeper, you're chanting 60 rounds, you're following the four regulatory principles. Actually, I should explain. So the process is, 1 year with develop your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Then for 6 months, you start to develop your relationship with your spiritual master. You don't have to be chanting 16 rounds, and you don't have to be following the four regulative principles at that point. This period is called aspiring. Aspiring means you're not there yet, means you want to get to that platform. So in this aspiring period, this is a time where you can test your spiritual master. This is a period where you can change if you want to, if you're not sure. Right? So how do you test your spiritual master? So by asking questions. You see their life. You see what they're doing. You see their mood. When I remember with my spiritual master, he would come for 3 days at a time to Bhaktivedanta Manor, and me and my father would go and serve him. He didn't have so many disciples at that time. So me and my father were his personal servants. So I would go to bed after him. After he went into bed, we'd go to sleep, and then we'd get up before him to then get everything ready, so that when he woke up, everything was ready. So I basically, and he only slept for 4 hours, so we were sleeping like 2 hours a day, right? So for 22 hours, practically, I was with my spiritual master. So I saw what he did from the second he woke up to the second he went to sleep. I saw everything, what he was up to, at least for 3 days at a time. In that testing period, you're allowed to question, you're allowed to kind of judge, is this person dedicated to Krishna? I think it was John Lennon asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the qualification of a guru? Srila Prabhupada said, a guru is someone who is addicted to Krishna. A guru is somebody who is addicted to Krishna. So I saw my spirit, I remember that very strongly, and I was with my spiritual master for 22 hours of the day, and I could see he was addicted to Krishna. Right? So for me, I knew that was, if you like, the testing period. So you have that period, that 6 months, where you're allowed to test. And if the relationship is not so strong, fine, then let's try someone else. Right? So that's why it's recommended. Listen to spiritual master. The key thing is, when they give the instruction, how does it affect you? How faithful are you to your guru? Because to take initiation or to surrender to a spiritual master, I need to remind myself of this. This is why I say I'm not preaching to you, I'm preaching to myself here when I say spiritual master. To take initiation, you know what it means? It means that I become the dog of the spiritual master. This is a dog collar. My body, my mind, and my speech now becomes offered, becomes the property of my spiritual master. That's how we should feel towards our spiritual master. If we don't feel that way towards our spiritual master, then we need to question. Either question ourselves or question, is this person our guru? We offer ourselves to our spiritual master. I do my chanting because I remember I've offered myself to my spiritual master. You read the scriptures because you've offered yourself to your spiritual master. You practice devotional life because you've offered yourself to your guru. Everything is done through the spiritual master. And what does the spiritual master do in return? Right? The process of initiation is there. At the time of initiation, first initiation, the spiritual master takes all your karma. Who's willing to do that? Right? Who's willing to do it? Is there anybody here? Right? So I have all this, somebody has all this karma. They're going to break a leg, they're going to have an accident, they're going to, whatever. All of these things are going to happen, right? Is there anybody here who's willing to take somebody else's karma so that they could advance in their spiritual life? Please raise your hand. No? But that's what the Guru is willing to do for you, for us. They're willing to take your karma so that you can advance in your spiritual life. How amazing is that? How fortunate are we? So at least be grateful and do your chanting to follow the four regulative principles strictly and offer yourself back to your spiritual master, what he's done for you. So this happens at the time of initiation. The aspiring period is there, 6 months, where we are allowed to test, and if we need to, we can change at that time. And then when we are 100%, if you like, when we're sure, then the next period is called shelter. We take shelter of the spiritual master. So this is the period, once we've got up to chanting 16 rounds a day, and we are strictly following the four regulative principles. So kind of in answer to your question is, check where you are in this scale. How is your relationship with Srila Prabhupada? Then do you know who is your spiritual master? Right. So as you develop your relationship with Srila Prabhupada, also pray to Srila Prabhupada, pray to Balaram, pray to Lord Nityananda. Right? They are the heads. Balaram is Adi Guru. He's the original spiritual master. So pray to these personalities to guide you, to show you, to reveal to you who is your spiritual master. Many devotees will have different stories. So in my case, I remember being confused. Gaur Govinda Maharaj or His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. Those are the only two spiritual masters I'd come in contact with, and who had come to Birmingham and I'd had their association. I could see they were both pure devotees. So, but I didn't know which one, who to surrender to as the initiating spiritual master. You can have many Shiksha Gurus. Right? You can have many Shiksha Gurus. Your mentor, in one sense, is your Shiksha Guru. Many people, for example, will have Radhanath Maharaj, those who are not disciples, they often listen to Radhanath Maharaj's lectures, right? Because he's like their Shiksha Guru. His lectures are amazing. Right? Or some other spiritual masters, who is not their Diksha Guru. I got some indication. So in a dream, I saw His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj was standing there. And I remember there was some force behind that pushed my head like this from behind. I was pushing. And then when I got right up to him, then my head went down like this and I could see his feet, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj's feet. And then this force at the back of my head pushed my head down, all the way down to his feet. So then that morning I woke up and something in my heart was like, yeah, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. And then I remembered the dream, which confirmed what I was already feeling, that yes, this person is your spiritual master. So it's not necessarily, it's not like, not everybody will have necessarily a dream or something like that. But the point is that you will be shown, you will be guided, you will know, you'll feel it from within. This person is your spiritual master. Right? So once you're at that stage, then start developing the relationship. Develop the relationship. And that mood of that relationship that we develop is totally and utterly in the mood of service. Totally and utterly in the mood of, I surrender to you, Gurudev. I am your, like I said, I'm your dog. Right? This is a dog collar of the spiritual master. Then that's, so at least 6 months in the shelter period, and that time you chant the prayers, the pranam mantra of your spiritual master. And then, after at least 6 months, then you can take initiation. And at the time of initiation, there's a fire sacrifice, and you make the vows that I vow to follow the 4 regulatory principles: no meat eating, fish, eggs, onion, garlic, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. We vow to chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day. And at that point, the spiritual master will give you the initiation beads that he's chanted on. And it's at that point you transfer your karma. Right? The Guru takes your karma. And then you get a new name with a das or a dasi at the end of it, which basically means servant. So that's first initiation. So first initiation, I'm sure all of you have experienced, is very powerful. You then can advance much quicker in your spiritual life because you're not carrying the burden of your karma. Right? But then the question can be raised, how has the spiritual master taken the karma? Because I've still got my body. I'm still alive in one sense, right? I'm still, breaking my leg or whatever. So many things are still happening. So what does that mean? As much as we surrender, that much. So what's happened is the Guru absorbs the karma, but he gives it to Krishna, right? So now your karma is not going to be administered simply by the laws of nature. Now Krishna has your karma. This is called Krishna karma. So now what happens is Krishna is in control of administering your karma. So let's say you're going down this is your spiritual life, right? This is the path you're supposed to be taking. But then you slightly go this way. So what Krishna does is he takes some of your karma and goes, ooh, this person's going off the path here. Here, take a bit of karma, right? Put him back on. And then he goes off this way. Right? So Krishna takes another bit of your karma, right, bring him back, right? I don't know, you're not chanting with the hands properly or something, right? And then you end up having to take some time off work, so you're just in bed all day. So, good opportunity to chant your rounds, right? Krishna will do something, right? But he's now in charge of your karma. He's directing you. Right? So you go off the path, which we naturally do, and then he brings us back. That's why for a devotee, everything that happens to us is good. I'll say that again. That's why for a devotee, everything that happens is good. It's because Krishna is involved. But understand that until you take initiation, Krishna doesn't take control of your karma. It is important to take initiation because Srila Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion in the introduction, I think it's something like page 6, something like that. Srila Prabhupada makes this point. He says that unless somebody takes initiation, Krishna doesn't actually accept their devotional service. So what does that mean? Everything that I've been doing this far is useless? No. What does it mean? It means everything that you're doing is being stored in somewhere, right? In some special account. But you don't have access to it. But when you take initiation, it's like everything is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But at the point of initiation, then there's a 1. In front of everything that you've done, now it becomes accepted by Krishna. Right? So see this part where you're not initiated yet, see this part as you're training, as you're getting ready for initiation. And everything that you're doing at the time of initiation will come to pass. Right? The benefit of everything that you're doing will be accepted by Krishna. The Guru introduces you to Krishna. When we pay our obeisances to Lord Jagannath, to Krishna, we pay obeisances by chanting the pranam mantra of our spiritual master. We don't approach Krishna directly. Even in this world, some big personality like the Queen, you don't just go knock on the Queen's door and say, "Hey Queen, how's it going?" right? You have to be introduced. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? There's a certain etiquette, there's a certain behavior, there's a certain mood, there's devotion that we have to have. So we cultivate that through our spiritual master, through the relationship of it. Krishna is saying, show me that you surrender to this person. Show me that you surrender to your Guru. Show me the mood that you have to your Guru. Do it to the Guru first. He will chastise you, he will correct you. Disciple means discipline. You have to be ready for that. I remember getting disciplined by my spiritual master. Only ever happened really once. Well, I'll never forget it. He shouted at me, right, so loudly. I was scared. And he's like 6 foot something. Well, obviously now after the stroke he sits in the chair, but he's very tall, very big. And when he shouted, I was just like, I was trembling the rest of the evening. But that's what disciple means, to be disciplined. Right? I'll never forget that lesson. So that's what we have to show, that you're disciplined to Guru. And gradually Guru will guide you. Guru will, as you follow the Guru's instructions, you will feel the mercy. If anybody chants less than 16 rounds, you will never feel the same mercy as when you chant 16 rounds. Why?
Because you follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Exactly. Because it's the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. It's not linear. It's not like, okay, if I chant 1 round, I'll get this much mercy. If I chant 2 rounds, I'll get this much mercy. If I chant 3 rounds, I'll get this much. If I chant 15 rounds, I'll get this much. If I chant 16, I'll get that much. It's doing well like that. You chant 15, you get this much mercy. You chant 60, you get unlimited. It's off the charts. It's exponential. Because at that point, you're following Guru's order. The bliss you get from chanting 16 rounds and the mercy, you can't compare with even 15 rounds. Right? Sometimes I'm like that. I'm so tired. I'm trying to chant the 15th round, and I'm like, I've still got 1 more round to chant. Oh, it's okay. I'll just do it tomorrow. But then you have to remember this point: you don't get the same mercy if you don't chant that 16th round. Right? It's exponential. So this is the point. We surrender to the spiritual master. We take our spiritual life very seriously because we are servants. We've offered ourselves to our spiritual master. So after first initiation, what I'd say, it's like going this way. So if you imagine an ocean, spiritual life like an ocean, first initiation is like going this way along the ocean. So when we take second initiation, it is like going this way. It's going deeper into the ocean. It's like that. When I observe this. When I read the same verse after second initiation, it was much deeper. My understanding was there was more mercy there. My understanding was much deeper, reading the same thing that I'd already read. And of course, after second initiation, we get the Gayatri mantras, which are secret mantras. The Hare Krishna mantra is very well known. It's a very public mantra. Right? So if it's already well known, why do you need to take initiation? Srila Prabhupada says that the process of initiation makes the Hare Krishna mantra more powerful. In other words, it connects you to Krishna. So you can chant Hare Krishna without having initiation. However, the Gayatri mantras only work by taking initiation. So these are very secret mantras. How many of you are second initiated here? Okay, good. Right, so these are very secret mantras, and the idea is that when we chant these Gayatri mantras, we do so very meditatively. Right? We go into actually deep meditation on these guys. So these Gayatri mantras help us very rapidly come to the platform of the mode of goodness. But it's ultimately the Hare Krishna mantra is the most powerful because that's the one that will deliver us. But the Gayatri mantras help us very rapidly come to the platform of goodness. From there, it's very easy to practice spiritual life and go to transcendence and become pure devotee. So those of you who are first initiated, keep doing what you're doing. And get to second initiation. And you get to chant these secret mantras. Very powerful mantras. Okay? So I'll stop there. Sorry, I've already gone over time. Maybe If there's any last question or anything that wasn't clear from what we spoke about?
So you mentioned that with initiation, your karma is transferred to the Guru, you transfer it to Krishna, and Krishna usually part your devotion and guide you from there.
Yes.
Now, one time you initiated, you still don't keep the karma, you're not in pure bhakti yoga.
Yes.
So you still be doing things and accumulating more karma. So what happens to that karma?
What happens to that karma? Both you and your spiritual master will get reaction. So as you do things outside of Krishna consciousness, so the spiritual master said that the spiritual master gets a token reaction. So sometimes even Srila Prabhupada says that the spiritual master will see bad dreams because the disciples are not following properly. So in other words, it's Krishna giving a direction to the spiritual master to say that your disciples are not following properly. The disciple, especially if they're second initiated, the reaction is heavier. So those who are second initiated, or those who are aspiring to be second initiated, you should also, that's why the whole purpose is to practice becoming as pure as possible. Make sure your practice is good. From first initiation, make sure your practice is good, and then you get second initiation. But second initiation means you have more responsibility. Second initiation means you get a lot more mercy, but at the same time, your reaction is quicker. Your karmic reaction is quicker. So you also get obviously some activity that we do will get reaction. I remember I cursed somebody. It's because I was just immature. I remember I cursed somebody after I was second initiated, and I got involved in the curse. To make that thing happen that I cursed, I got sucked in, right? And I thought, I'm never doing a curse. Like, what's wrong with me? Right? You get reaction too. You get big time reaction. So you have to take responsibility. What is the function of a Brahman? So second initiation means like the Brahman platform. What is the function of the Brahman? The function of the Brahman is to develop those 12 qualities of a Brahman. But one of the key ones is, what are the key qualities of a Brahman is? Humility, yep. And kind of an extension of humility. Even deeper than that is compassion, yes, mercy. How is that? What is the hardest one to follow? Austerity there is actually forgiveness. Forgiveness is the true sign of compassion. Forgiveness is the true sign of compassion. Because compassion is, the person is neutral, they haven't done anything wrong to me, let me help them. Forgiveness means somebody, I will let go of what that person, show compassion to somebody who has hurt me. That's forgiveness. So Srila Prabhupada has developed once a society where we show true compassion in terms of forgiveness. And no community can ever function, no family, no husband and wife relationship can function without forgiveness. Because are we prone to make mistakes? Hell yes. So if we don't forgive other people, then the relationship will never grow. And it's true of the community, true of families, true of everything, all relationships. So that's a quality to be developed. That's a quality we work on, especially through developing the quality of humility. Right? Those who are first initiated and looking to get second initiated, we've got to work on that. And those who are already second initiated, we definitely need to make sure we've got that under our belt. Quality of forgiveness. Radhanath Maharaj said that in a class, that this quality is the most important quality actually, is the quality of forgiveness. Because without that, a society cannot function. Because you did this to me 10 years ago and I still hold it in my heart against you, and I did this to you 20 years ago and you still hold it in your heart. It's like, how does a society function like that? How does a husband and wife relationship function? How does child-parent relationship function without forgiveness? And I see the mood in especially young children. It's like, I know I've made mistakes as a parent, but I see that kids, especially younger kids, they forgive so easily, so quickly. So this childlike quality, amazing quality of forgiveness, it requires us to become a bit childlike. Don't take it so seriously. Don't have such a big ego. Forgiveness ultimately means, if we can't forgive, ultimately means we've got a big ego. Sorry to say. I'm talking about myself as well. Right? It means we have an ego. False ego. If you think we're so great, I was listening to a class, I think was it Srila Prabhupada, I can't remember. I was listening to a class the other day, and the speaker was saying how when it comes to Lord Nityananda, like these great personalities, or Haridas Thakur, when somebody has done some harm to them, and that person comes and says, please forgive me, they don't have to forgive. Do you know why? Because they're not offended in the first place. That's mind-blowing. They're so humble, they don't even see it as an offense in the first place. It's like, why do I have to forgive you? You didn't commit an offense. You know, Madai hit Lord Nityananda head, he was bleeding. Doesn't even see that as an offense. Haridas Thakur was taken through the marketplace, beaten 20, like the belt is this, like with belts, like with, they beat him to try and kill him. Didn't even see it as an offense. So this is Brahminical quality. I know we have a long way to go. But the point is, that's what we aspire for. That's what we try to work toward. That's what we have to develop. And this is already shown by a glorious parampara, by the great spiritual masters in our parampara. So if we commit seva, or if we commit offences in our service, how can that be nullified? Obviously not are you talking about not intentionally?
Just suppose you're carrying paraphernalia.
Yes.
It falls on the ground.
Yes.
Just be something.
Then you just pick it up and put it back on, and then, yes.
That is still offensive.
It's still an offence, yes. So obviously we try to do, so the question is what happens if we commit offences in our service? How do we nullify that? But ultimately the chanting of the holy name is there to nullify the offences. And ultimately it's the chanting of the holy name that will get us everything. Everything that we're talking about, this humility and forgiveness, or everything will be there when it is nullified by the proper chanting of the holy name. In fact, even offences to the holy name can be nullified by chanting the holy name. He said, I think it's Haridas Thakur that says that if you commit offences while chanting the holy name, then you should chant more. You should be chanting 24 hours a day to stop your offences to the holy name. Right? Because the holy name itself will purify our offences to the holy name. But obviously you have to keep in the association of the holy name. Right? Have kirtan playing all the time.
If someone is supervising the service, just suppose if I'm supervising someone else and they are committing an offense basically.
Yes.
The offense is created for them, but it's also offense for the supervisor.
So if somebody's supervising and then the person under them is committing offences, of course the supervisor should try to guide that person. You can't get rid of offences, you can't get rid of mistakes. It's going to happen. We're human. What is the expression? To err is human. To make mistakes is human. We have to keep trying. So we don't focus on the offences, just focus on doing it right. And then ultimately, so for example, after you serve the deities, there's a prayer that we say afterwards, which is, please forgive us for any offences, knowingly or unknowingly. You can't not commit offences. Right? It's practically impossible. Especially, even you try to offer something to the Lord, is the milk that we offer pure? Is the milk that we offer pure? Right? There's blood that comes from the cow, because they use the machines to pump, etc. It's like, what is pure in this age? How are we at all qualified to serve the deities anyway? To serve the Vaishnavas anyway? We're not. It's simply by the mercy of the Guru, it's simply by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of the holy name that we're able to. So rather than focus on being scared of offences, just focus on the mercy of the Lord, and you do your best. And I'll tell you one other trick. I'll let you into one other secret. If you feel that you have no taste in chanting the holy name, especially because of offences, and maybe you don't know why, you don't know how to address it, there's a trick. I don't know if I should say it because I don't want you to use it every time you commit an offence. So as long as you promise to use it correctly, right? If you commit offense to somebody, you should go to that person and apologize. Right? There's no two ways around it. However, to help you maybe get to that stage, you can chant chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. Chant the verses of Bhagavad Gita, the whole chapter. You don't have to read the purpose, just either the Sanskrit or the English. So often, sometimes there's no taste in chanting. I'm like, I must commit it, but I don't know what I've done. So then I'll chant chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita and I'll get at least enough to carry on chanting. Then somehow I'll find out, oh, right, I offended this person. Like I said, we don't focus on offences, we focus on doing things right. But you have your get out clause. Okay, Jai. Shri Guru Parampara ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
His Grace Nitai Kirtan Prabhu ki. Hare Krishna. So hope that was helpful. It was to me learned a few things today that I didn't know. So I hope helps you in your sadhana and in your advancement of bhakti. And you can see there's many stages. This happened overnight. It takes a lifetime. We want to reach. So let's give Prabhu 3 Hari Bols, please. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu.